this is a great honor for every fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm honored to be in the NFL.
What can I say? Mamba out.
All right, everyone, what's going on? It's your Monday edition of the afternoon show. I'm going to be your host and producer, Logan Landerson. As always, joining me is my guy, Jay McLuffin. I hope you guys enjoy the show today. And before we start, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We go live each and every single day here on the channel, whether it's us or it's one of our other great shows. Check us out on Facebook, on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. Anywhere you got social medias, you can find us over there. Best way to do that, though, is through our link tree in our description. You'll find it in all of our shows. Just tap on that, and you'll see all of our great ESCN social media, and then you'll see the rest of our shows, and they're going to be promoting there also their independent channels as well. So go be sure to support us and support them as a whole. Jay, hope you had a good weekend, man. And let's go ahead and talk some baseball. We had, of course, some big series over the weekend, and you got some bragging rights over the Yankees, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, do I ever. First of all, I just want to shout out to Frankie Cruz Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you a very bold prediction. And I'm going to steal this. Pags actually brought it up. And the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, I can see that happening. It's very, very possible that the way in which the Mets and the Yankees are both trending, that New York could miss the playoffs altogether.
Mm.
Both teams, Logan, and it was. But you're right. I mean, it was incredible baseball. Obviously, as you know, Altuve made history in New York on the first game of this series. He actually hit his 250th home run. Carlos Correa is rounding back into his typical Houston form. And Correa, if you haven't been paying attention to Correa lately with Houston, go check him out and see. He's been hitting dingers all the time now. I mean, he's doing really, really well. But anyway, Correa and Altuve, obviously New York was not fond of Correa or Altuve. I'm sure they were very upset to see them get double home or get back-to-back home runs. But also, the history that Altuve made was the fact that he got 250 home runs, and he's also 250 stolen bases.
Mm. Yeah,
so
I mean,
he's killing it right
forget
now,
with him too that he's got the speed. You know what I mean? Everyone just thinks he's a good hitter, which obviously so. But you forget that Altuve's got some wheels on him too. Obviously, he's getting older. He's not going to hit a whole lot more, but for what he's got, he makes the most of it. And like I said, I mean, it was a good series overall between you and the Yankees. And I know Aaron Boone got ejected and won the games, I believe.
I think it was Alexander. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Alexander was the pitcher, and Boone felt that the ball was a little too low to be called a strike. I looked at it; it was right on the fringe. Some of the baseball is actually touching the bottom line. So I mean, look, in the way the baseballs are being, their strike zones are being called in today's sports. I think it's a strike.
Well,
if you go by the way it's being called.
Yeah, well, my thing, too, is that, look, you're never going to get their balls and strike call overturned. You know what I mean? Before the current iteration they're bringing in, you're going out there just to get ejected. Let's be real here. And, I kind of get what he's going for. Obviously, like you said, the team's been struggling. Sometimes you need something like that for your manager, right, to maybe get the energy back, just to get something. But, I mean, Jay, their bullpen's falling apart. They've already optioned off Jake Bird, who they picked up at the trade deadline. He went down to AAA. Couple days ago. We see that Williams has been struggling for really all season, obviously, but I mean, it just feels like it's really been magnified here in the last couple of weeks. I mean, honestly, Jay, the most impressive thing, or the most I heard out of New York this weekend was Mariano Rivera tearing his Achilles. That was the main story I heard in the Old Timers game, which we hope he's doing good. We hope he's recovering well. But man, I saw that and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what do you mean he tore his Achilles? I saw, a lot of the guys from the 2000 World Series, that roster. So you saw some of the old players out there, but hopefully Mo gets better in that regard. But I mean, you said that, Pags brought up a good point. Both New York teams could very well miss the playoffs if they keep trending in this direction. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I did see where over the weekend, it was since I believe it was July 19th, both the Mets and the Yankees have two of the worst records since that span in that amount of time. So that's very telling of that. Talking about the Mets, they're tied for the worst losing streak in the majors at the current moment, both at 7 apiece. They are tied with the Colorado Rockies, so you never want to be tied with anything against. And that's just how New York is for the Mets. Obviously, they lost their lead in first place. Philadelphia Phillies now have a somewhat comfortable, 5.5 game lead over them. Obviously, you're not in the clear quite yet, but you're doing a lot better, as this show than you were on Friday. So doing good there. But also, Jay, the real story for baseball, we saw about all the teams and everything, but the main talking point over the weekend was Jen Powell, who made her debut August 9th in the Braves and Marlins series, becoming the first base umpire in that first doubleheader against the two teams. And then the second game, she was the home plate umpire. So first woman to ever umpire a major league game, which we witnessed history. So that you love to see that. And, they sent off, I believe it was her mask and her scorecard maybe to the Hall of Fame where it's rightfully going to get enshrined. And just neat to see. You don't see, a whole lot of history being made in baseball or any kind of sports super often. So this was really cool to see.
Yeah. Anytime you're breaking barriers in a sport, it's always something to see. Obviously, the first one we broke was in the Negro Leagues when they were included into MLB, things like that. That was a huge barrier broken. And now you have females umping in baseball, which is the next barrier to be broken. So it's good to see that. It's good to see the game is transitioning in a good way like that. So absolutely, man. And I'm pretty sure as we continue to go down that road, more history is going to get broken over time, and I think you'll see a lot more females into it. So good for them. Good for America. Honestly, it's good for America.
No, it is. It's great to see, and I saw a lot of positivity going that way over the weekend. So, that's obviously what you want. But that was great to see. Now, also, Jay, Braves haven't been doing too bad. 5-5 in their last 10, which for us that feels like it's tremendous, considering we're well under 500 still. Not going anywhere, just trying to get through the season. That's basically what we're at. We're not
right.
We're trying to play spoiler. But hey, winning 3 in a row, you feel a little bit better about yourself. You say, all right, hey, we got some good wins, and mostly just watching for the prospects. Our top story, our top player this year is arguably Drake May, who's a rookie, who's going to be, I don't know if he's going to win the Rookie of the Year, but he's going to be at least in contention.
Right.
Which is promising because the Braves always have a really good track record of guys who were in that Rookie of the Year conversation or win the award. Like Ronald Acuna was in it. I'm sure Spencer Strider was in it. Freddie Freeman, Jason, a bunch of guys here just the last 10, 15 years. So they're always, their farm system's a little bit rough right now, but they're always getting guys, whether it's in trades or, guys who have been released from franchises that, they pick up and that they, can hopefully develop into some top tier players. So, hopefully that right now is our top story, our best guy. So it is what it is, but you just got to learn to wing it and enjoy it while you can. And, there's always next season.
Before we move on real quick, I just want to say one more thing. Obviously, Christian Javier is now going to be making his debut tonight against the Devil Rays. I think they were playing Tampa, if I'm not mistaken, Logan. Okay. But he's going to get his start tonight, and then I'm hoping he has a good game tonight and gets back into the rhythm or continues to get back into the rhythm. Garcia took a step back a little bit. He got a little bit of inflammation in his elbow while he's in the minor league starts. So they'll probably sit him for a couple of days. I hate to see this because the guy, every time we get close to getting him back, it just seems like something sets him back. So I don't know what the ultimate fate is going to be for Garcia, who is still battling, coming back from Tommy John. We'll see what happens. Hopefully good things will happen. But at the meantime, though, at least right now, we got a pretty good rotation now of Hunter, Brown, Framber Valdez, and then we got Spencer Arrighetti, and then it'll round it out with Christian Javier. And then, we'll see. We still got Gordon, who's been doing pretty good. And we also have Alexander, who allowed 3 hits to the Yankees last night and blanked out Judge. So I think our rotation is looking pretty good. I'm still waiting to see when Jake Myers comes back. And I think once Jake Myers comes back, then I think we have a good solidified team to go in the postseason. You got to remember, Jake Myers when he went on the list, he was batting over 300. And right now, Pena's batting over 300. And actually, Carlos Correa is batting at 405. Since that's what his current average is right now, is at 405. So, and then of course you got Altuve is sitting around 287, and then at the bottom part of the rotation, you got Dubon is around 266. So I got to tell you, once we get Myers back, I don't know if we're ever going to get Alvarez back or if it's going to be a next year thing with him with that hand. But I think even without Alvarez, once we get Myers back, Logan, this Astros team is ready to roll in the postseason. And if we get Alvarez back on top of Jake Myers, yeah, it's game over. I feel really, really good for the first time this season since the day one. I feel good about this Astros team and what the team can accomplish. And I got to tell you, Logan, if you look around baseball right now, the two hottest teams right now are the Mariners, who are on a 7-game win streak, and the Brewers, who are on a 9-game win streak. And I got to tell you, it's looking pretty tasty right now around MLB. And right now, the Astros got a half-game lead. So we are literally neck and neck in competition. So I fully expect the next 2 months, give or take a couple of days between now and postseason, for MLB to really see a shakeup in the wild card and in the divisional side of life. And I would not be surprised if Mets and the Yankees get bounced out. And what a time would it be if a small market team like the Brewers or Toronto or even Houston at about 194 million was to take the World Series, and the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, and the Phillies, and everybody else who has these big, ginormous ass payrolls because they're trying to buy championships just get spanked. What a time to be alive.
We'll see what happens, Jay. And you're mentioning standings, and we're going to talk about standings, but we're switching off from baseball, talking about college football. And Jay, you'll be very pleased to hear and to rep your team, your state pride, knowing that the Texas Longhorns are currently ranked the number 1 seed in the first ever AP preseason rankings, top 25. First time ever Texas has opened a season at that rank. So congratulations. And the rest of we're not going to go through all 25, obviously, but just kind of hit some high points here. We're going to do the top 10. Texas at 1, followed by Penn State, Ohio State at 3, Clemson at 4, Georgia at 5, Notre Dame at 6, Oregon at 7, Alabama at 8, LSU at 9, and finally, the Miami Hurricanes are number 10. Some interesting notes here, Jay, before we get your thoughts on this one. So there were 10 SEC teams in the top 25, the most ever by any conference in any year. If you want to know, the SEC, they had 4 teams in the top 10 also for the second straight year. So, I mean, if that's not telling you what the best conference of football is, I don't know what is. Now, like I said, Big Ten, they won the last 2 championships. There's 4 Big 12 teams in there as well. And I mean, just kind of looking at some of the other teams that just kind of cracked the top 25, going from 20 down or 21 down to 25. I'm going to throw Indiana in there, Jay, because our boys at Chris and Gonzo and Tony and everyone like that. Indiana's at number 20, so I want to give them a shout out here. Mississippi, Ole Miss, they're 2021. Iowa State's 22, Texas Tech 23, Tennessee Volunteers at 24, and Boise State number 25. Just barely getting through there, but Jay, hey, congratulations, man! You guys are up top here, number 1 overall, starting off the year, and we got a lot of SEC football. That's gonna. I mean, these standings are gonna be crazy by the end of the year. I can already tell.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's 3 schools from Texas in the top 25 with Texas Tech, A&M, Texas, and SMU. I mean, Texas is doing a pretty good job being ranked. The only teams are missing in there would be Baylor and Houston. If they could have got in there, we'd have had we've been running the whole gamut. But it's interesting to see Oklahoma ranked at 18 in their second season in the SEC. So it's good to see them in there. I was really surprised to see Clemson at number 4. Dabo is making his way back into. Dabo's been gone for a while since what's his name left to go be with the Giants.
Trevor Lawrence, yes. You haven't seen a whole lot. Dabo. Yep, they got it back on track. Look, you saw last year. But I know there's obviously a lot of hype around them this year. With it's Clemson, right? They become a powerhouse in football, especially in the ACC. They kind of led the conference for many years. When Miami was struggling, when Georgia Tech was doing rough. Also, Jay, the ACC is shaped up to be really good again this year too. There's not a whole lot of weak conferences, in the Power Five or the top ones that you watch. So that'll be interesting to see how the college rankings do. We know that teams are getting geared up and set to start kickoff season here. Not too far away, so don't worry. We're going to have a ton of college football action here once it kicks back off. And Jay, we did see the story here making us both feel old. Fresno State, they have named E.J. Warner as their starting quarterback. Now you might be thinking, okay, who the hell is E.J. Warner? Jay, that is Kurt Warner's son.
Yeah.
He's going to be the starter. And it's not like he's just brand new. He's a senior also. So he's a senior, and throughout his career, right, he's played a bunch of different teams. He's played for Temple and for Rice over the last 3 years, so he did move around. Overall, right, his career stats up to this time, 8,814 yards, 58 touchdowns, 37 interceptions. Now, look, I haven't seen him play. I don't have any film on him, but just looking at the numbers alone tells me, Jay, he's not afraid to chuck the ball, just like his dad. He's going to throw it. He's going to throw it either for touchdowns, going to throw a couple of interceptions here and there, obviously, but it's going to be for a lot of yards. And hopefully for Fresno State, he can have a good year for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, it's always good. Everybody knows Kurt Warner's story. The guy, went around the Arena League forever and a day, sacked groceries, and then ultimately got a Super Bowl ring, and went on to do an amazing job in the NFL as a whole. And I got to imagine and one thing about Kurt and his family is they're very resilient people. They've been through a lot of things. They've come up the hard way, to make it where he was. So that team is built on straight resiliency. And I would imagine that EJ is a good byproduct of that resiliency. And I got to imagine that at Fresno State, he's going to do big things. I don't know how far this kid's going to go. I mean, only time will tell. But I do know that he has a really good example in his dad. And I'm pretty sure that work ethic is instilled in him. And so I would not be surprised to see him do big things. How far he goes, if he gets drafted or whatever, we'll see. But if his dad can go undrafted and do all the things that he did to become where, I'm sure EJ is built with that same mold. And so it wouldn't surprise me if he did the same thing if he didn't get drafted.
Yeah, and we'll see, just how he can lead Fresno State this year. Big opportunity. So we'll see if EJ Warner can rise to it and see where he can take the Bulldogs this upcoming season. Jay, one more football news before we kind of get into our ins and outs for today's show. So update for Maurice Norris, who I'm sure a lot of you saw over the weekend. He was that Detroit Lions safety who had that really nasty looking injury against the Atlanta Falcons where they suspended play after the fact. Well, an update on that from ESPN as of 10:55 this morning. He is in concussion protocol and doing well.
Good.
He's already back with the team, which is great to hear. Because that was just a scary scene. You didn't initially see it because it was on a play where a lot of bodies were involved. It wasn't like a one-on-one tackle. And initially, if you watch the play, you might think that something was wrong. With one of the Falcons players who he didn't take a nasty hit, but he kind of flailed a little bit. Just kind of getting hit and moving his legs around. So you thought, okay, maybe it was him, but no. Once you see the footage of Norris kind of getting hit, it was just a straight knee to the jaw, and
right.
Whipped his head back, and he was on the ground for quite some time. Obviously, before they stretched him off, took him to the hospital, and then the players on the field, we know they suspended play, or they're praying for multiple minutes before the NFL ultimately decided, look, it's a preseason game. You never expect for any of that to happen, so that there's a lot of phone calls and stuff that need to be made behind the scenes, right? So as to, people were asking, well, how come they're just immediately suspending it? Well, there's a lot of ins and outs for for the NFL, for the media rights and all that. It's a lot to go through as quick as possible. So, they were kind of rushing in the corporate offices, but they got through it and they ended up splitting play in the game for both teams. The Lions was their second game. The Falcons, that was their first ever game this preseason. But glad to see that he's doing better, and hopefully he can have a solid season, man. But and just the Lions just been hit with this injury bug. It feels like a lot. Really in the last year, a lot of guys have gotten hurt unfortunately. And we're glad to see that Maurice is doing better. But man, what a kind of a scary injury that was over the weekend.
Yeah, I don't like to see anybody, and there's been a couple of scary injuries over this week. I think Addison, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and also just an update on that, Jay. He is going to be out for the whole season due to a neck injury.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you just, that's an awful – I mean, any injury is awful to have, but just a neck injury, it's a lot different than breaking an arm or a hand. That's a big difference.
Yes. Yeah, necks and heads always. I think that makes anybody scared because the first thing you think about is paralysis. That's what I always think when I see a real bad head injury or especially a neck injury or even a back injury for that matter. The first thing that goes to my mind is, God, I hope there's no paralysis involved because it's that spinal cord. It don't take much to do that kind of damage to it. One bad hit, it can do it. So I'm very glad to see that. And I correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure he's at home now. I don't think he even stayed now. I think he's at home now. I guess going through whatever rehab he's got to go through, but I know he's out of the hospital from what I understand.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's out of the hospital. I think he was back with the team, obviously not practicing, but just getting treatment in the facility and stuff along those lines. So that's great to see when it looked a whole lot worse.
For him.
Yeah. So
that could have been a whole lot worse.
No doubt.
Yeah. But there was definitely some injuries, like you said, and nobody likes to see that. I know Dickerson, the offensive tackle for the Phillies. He was carted off.
Yeah, so, we don't know the extent for that one. No. I mean, that just happened, very, very recently. But we just know he's hurt in practice. We haven't heard an official word that time of us recording the show.
Right.
So when it does break, and we learn how long he'll be out for, if he's going to be out for any time, we'll give an update, obviously. Jay, just some kind of other news that don't really go into specific sports categories like we've been doing here. Big deal today with media talking sports also. Paramount and the TKO group, they've reached a 7-year, $7.7 billion deal to bring home the UFC events, which means they're going to be having a full slate starting in 2026, pay-per-views included. So if you're a fight fan, you're going to want to get Paramount because you're going to want to watch all these shows where you had to pay $60, $70 for pay-per-view. Because the UFC was one of the last. I mean, they're one of the last companies to have just outright pay-per-views. A lot of the other ones, especially major streaming, outside of the core four sports, but a lot of fighting, right? A lot of MMA, wrestling. They've shifted to the streaming model, and now Dana White and the UFC, they're heading over there for a hefty chunk of change. So that's going to be interesting. Just wanted to bring that up. That's a big deal today. Between UFC and TKO and Paramount. So once again, that's going to be in 2026. So still got to wait a little bit longer, but I mean, between this and, obviously last week, the deal with ESPN and WWE, a lot of big moves here. And of course, we know that TKO is involved directly with both of those organizations. So they've done a lot in the office here the last couple of weeks, but just kind of your initial thoughts on this, UFC going over the Paramount.
Yeah. Well, it's good for Paramount, right?
It is,
Paramount's going to have the UFC now. And for people, I think to me, that's just a lateral move for a lot of people. They're just going to have to drop, whatever streaming service they had it on and switch over to Paramount and pick up, if you want to watch them, just pick up that streaming service. So it's a little bit of difference, I guess, for some people. But ultimately, cable's gone by the wayside. Streaming services are now the way to go. And, ESPN, ESPN Plus, Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, I guess, whatever. I guess that's and Netflix. I guess that's kind of where we're heading as a society if you want to watch our sports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and welcome back, cable. You were coming back with a vengeance, apparently, with all these streaming services, Jay. I saw someone did a video the other day where they were talking about how much it was going to be to watch just WWE. I mean, because they're across all. They're on every platform now. I think someone said it's going to be like $130 a month if you want everything. Or if you want, if you don't want ads on your stuff and everything like that. And so
$130. That's like if you want football, if you want all the football packages, I think somebody said you got to pay like $1,500. Who the hell's got $1,500 damn dollars To watch all the I guess I'm gonna be
you know what, Jay? I'm gonna be going back to when I was a kid, and I didn't, parents weren't buying the pay-per-views or anything like that, so I'd have to wake up, Jay, and log on the website and see who won. That's how I'm gonna have to start going about it now.
Oh no, I'm not doing that much money. You know what I'm doing, Logan? You know what I'm doing, Logan?
What's that?
Just like Jason Kelsey. Just gonna go find somebody's living room who has that crap. I'm just gonna start watching in their living room. Hey,
yeah.
Remember when the guy appears like, hey, you ain't gone home yet? He's like, no, man, I got another game to go. I'm like, that's gonna be me, man. Hey, listen.
Going to count the couch.
So if GB find Jay McLovin on your couch, don't worry.
You'll know why. You'll know why. Jay, a little bit of a somber note here to end the show. We did see this news to happen over the weekend. And, thoughts, prayers, condolences to the family of Robbie Brewer, who is according to this ESPN article, a veteran stock car driver. He unfortunately died over the weekend, Jay, in a short track race. He had a medical emergency while in competition. His car struck a head-on wall at the quarter-mile track there at Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem. He was 53 years old. And just a tragic, accident. All things considered, it just, kind of leaves you speechless, just talking about that. And, he was obviously competing in the sport he loved, and it's just, an unfortunate way to go. But like you said, just, sending our thoughts and condolences here at the network over to both him and as well as his family and loved ones. But Jay, we kind of brought this up pre-show, and we were both kind of at a loss for words, when you see that, but just all around just unfortunate for everyone involved.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think the article went into what all his medical emergency that he was experiencing.
Yeah, no, they were not released.
Yeah, prior to him getting in the crash, it took his life. But you never want to see anything like that. That takes me back to Dale Earnhardt when he passed, and I remember how that was. I remember watching it when it happened. And, you never want to see anything like that, period. So obviously all of our hearts and here at the network and whatnot go out to the Brewer family. And we hope you guys get through this with the least amount of pain as possible. Because I know how it hurts to lose a loved one. So,
yeah. And so we're going to end there. Thoughts, blessings, and prayers to Robbie and his family during this sad time. But for Jay McLovin, my tremendous co-host here today, thank you so much for coming on, talking to the sports. As always, I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Once again, guys, if you enjoy the show, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. Linktree has all of those and then some. Check us out of there, as well as the rest of the great shows here on our platform. So until next time, we'll see you guys again on another episode of the Afternoon Show here on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network.